The green felt of the poker table gleams under low amberlight as 5 stacks of cash tower in careful pyramids, tens of thousands of dollars breathing with the heat of August night. Cigar smoke hangs like a veil across the room, so thick you could cut it with a blade. The underground poker room sits beneath the streets of Los Angeles, hidden behind unmarked doors and guarded by men whose shoulders strain the seams of their tailored jackets. Everything is silence. Everything is waiting. Then the heavy oak doors explode inward. A woman staggers through the threshold at 11:43 at night, and the silence cracks like bone. Cassandra Vasquez. 28 years old but looking decades older, her dark hair plastered to skin the color of ash with sweat and rain. Her cheap delivery uniform hangs in tatters, soaked crimson across her left shoulder and abdomen. Blood drips from her trembling fingers onto the nearest poker table. Drip. 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 The only sound in the sudden terrible silence. She gasps for air that will not come. Behind her, visible through the open doorway, 2 small children huddle together on the wet pavement outside. A boy and girl, maybe 5 years old, their tiny frames shaking with sobs that echo into the night. Their cries cut through the cigar smoke like knives through water. Cassandra's legs buckle. Her voice breaks into pieces as she speaks, barely a whisper, trembling like a candle in the wind. They were shooting at the children. I had to stop them. Her knees give way. At the center table, Nico Ferraro sits motionless in a black suit cut from fabric worth more than most people's monthly rent. 39 years old, his dark hair silvered at the temples, his face carved from stone and shadow. A scar runs from his left eye to his cheekbone, a map of a life lived in violence and power. His storm gray eyes are fixed on the poker chips in front of him. Tony and Gino flank him on either side, men who have stood beside him for 15 years without question. All 3 of them go absolutely still as statues. Cassandra collapses toward the floor, and in that moment before impact, Nico's chair crashes backward with such force that it splinters against the wall. He moves like a predator closing in, his expensive shoes crossing the impossible distance in seconds. His hands reach for her before she hits the ground. He catches her. His palms come away red. Crimson flows between his fingers like something alive, something that will not stop. 5 bullet wounds map themselves across her body, 2 in her left shoulder, 1 in her side, 2 more visible in her back as her body goes limp against his chest. For the first time in 15 years, Nico Ferraro's face shows raw fear. "Doctor!" Now, he commands, his voice deep and solid like an oath, carrying the weight of absolute authority. "Move!" Every second matters. His men scatter like shadows fleeing light. One pulls a phone from his jacket. Another is already shouting orders into a radio. The guards at the doors remain frozen, hands still on weapons they now understand they will not need to use. The poker chips, the cash, the entire careful architecture of the night, all of it forgotten in a single moment. Nico lowers himself to one knee and gathers Cassandra into his arms with a gentleness that seems impossible coming from a man who commands empires through fear alone. Her blood soaks into his jacket. He does not move. He does not look away from her face. "Stay with me," he says. "Stay with me. You are safe now." Her eyes flutter. For a moment, they focus on his, and in that contact there is something neither of them understands yet. Something that will rewrite both their futures before the sun rises again. Then consciousness abandons her. Before we continue, drop a like if this story hits you. Share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe so you do not miss what is coming tomorrow. But what Cassandra did not know was that the man whose children she just saved, the 2 small twins sobbing on the pavement outside, was the most dangerous person in Los Angeles. Nico Ferraro did not build his empire through kindness. He built it through calculation, through loyalty codes written in blood, through the absolute certainty that mercy was a luxury only the weak could afford. And yet, in this moment, holding a stranger's dying body in his arms, something ancient and dangerous stirred in his chest. A feeling he thought he had buried 15 years ago when betrayal took everything from him. A feeling that would either save Cassandra Vasquez or destroy them both. Now let us go back to the beginning, to 3 days earlier, when Cassandra had exactly $2 in her pocket and 72 hours to save her daughter's life. The sun rises over Los Angeles like a curse that cannot be erased. Cassandra stands in the doorway of her apartment so small that sunlight seems wasted on it, the kind of place where hope comes to die in installments. The bedroom she shares with her 6-year-old daughter Emma is not wide enough for 2 beds, so they share one. A twin mattress with sheets so worn they are nearly transparent. The pillow smells like rain and desperation. Emma sleeps still, her small chest rising and falling in the careful rhythm of a child whose heart works harder than it should. One hand rests above the blankets, and Cassandra watches that hand the way other mothers might watch the sunrise. Every breath. Every heartbeat. A countdown she cannot stop. In the kitchen, really just a hot plate and a sink separated from the bedroom by a bookshelf, Cassandra counts her money. Again. As if the numbers will change. As if $2.43 will somehow become $65,000 between one count and the next. $2.43. 3 days until Emma's surgery. The cardiologist's words from yesterday morning still live in her ears, playing on repeat like a record with a scratch. The valve is failing. Without replacement, her heart will give out. I recommend surgery within 72 hours. The cost is $65,000. We cannot proceed without payment in full. $65,000. Cassandra folds her worn delivery uniform across the back of a broken chair. The fabric is stained with coffee, with grease from the kitchen at the Langford Hotel, with her own sweat from double shifts that begin at 5 in the morning and do not end until midnight. Manager Anthony Marchetti steals from her tips. He pockets the money left by guests and hands her nothing. Last week, she earned $180 in tips across 6 days. She received 30. The rest disappeared into the pockets of a man who smells like cheap cologne and corruption. Her phone buzzes. A text from the hospital, final payment due by 11 p.m. on August 19th, or surgery is cancelled. August 19th is in 72 hours. She has $2.43. Cassandra sinks onto the mattress beside Emma and touches her daughter's forehead. Warm. Always warm. Always the fever that never quite breaks. She pulls her mother's gold locket from inside her shirt, the only thing her mother left her when she died 15 years ago. The locket is small enough to fit in the center of her palm. Inside is a photograph of her mother at age 22, smiling in a way that suggests she believed her life would be good. That photograph has kept Cassandra alive through nights so dark she forgot the sun was real. She presses the locket to her forehead and whispers a prayer to a God she is not sure is listening. Please. Please let me find a way. Please do not take her from me. The apartment is so quiet she can hear the couple fighting in the unit below. Yelling. Glass breaking. The sounds of a life coming apart. Cassandra has lived in this building for 4 years and has learned that everyone here is fighting a private war that nobody can win. The wars are quiet. The wars are slow. The wars kill people without leaving marks that hospitals can see. At 4:45 in the morning, Cassandra showers in water so hot it burns her skin, then dresses in her delivery uniform. She braids her dark hair into a style that makes her look invisible, which is the point. Invisible servers earn better tips because customers forget to steal from them. Or at least, that is what she tells herself. She leaves Emma sleeping, with a note pinned to the pillow, "Mommy is working." Lock the door. Do not open it for anyone. I love you more than the moon. Emma is 6 years old and has been locking doors since she was 4. The Langford Hotel rises from the streets of downtown Los Angeles like something from another world. Marble floors. Crystal chandeliers that cost more than Cassandra will earn in 10 years. Guests in clothes that breathe money. The lobby alone could house 20 families like hers. She enters through the staff entrance, invisible, moving like a ghost through the corridors reserved for people who serve. Anthony Marchetti finds her in the kitchen before her shift officially begins. 38 years old, overweight, his shirt straining at the buttons. a gold chain around his neck that catches the light. His smile is the smile of a predator recognizing prey. "Cassandra," he says, and his voice drips like poison. "You look tired. Surgery, is it?" The daughter. How he knows these things, Cassandra does not understand. But he always knows. He knows which women are desperate. He knows which ones cannot afford to lose their jobs. "She needs treatment," Cassandra says, her voice barely a whisper. "She is very sick." Marchetti steps closer. She can smell the cologne now, sour beneath the expensive fragrance. "Expensive treatment." "Yes. And you cannot afford it." "It is not a question." "No," Cassandra says. Marchetti smiles wider. "Then you will work the private parties." Saturday night, there is a party in the penthouse. High rollers. Very generous with their tips. You will serve them alone. You will wear the dress I am going to give you. You will smile. You will be nice to these men. And if you are very nice, they will give you money. Do you understand me? Cassandra understands exactly what he is offering. She understands what these words mean without the words being spoken. The temperature in the kitchen seems to drop by 30 degrees. "I cannot do that," she says. Marchetti's smile disappears like a light being switched off. "Then you are fired. You have 2 hours to clear your locker. After that, you are not welcome here." "And Cassandra?" "You will not work anywhere in Los Angeles again. I know people. I can make sure of it." The threat hangs between them, solid as a blade wrapped in ice. She has $2.43. She has a daughter whose heart is failing. She has 3 days. "I will work the party," Cassandra whispers. Marchetti nods, satisfied. "Excellent choice." He hands her a red dress made of fabric so thin it is barely a whisper of coverage. His eyes move across her body like something with teeth. Saturday night. The penthouse. 9 o'clock. He leaves. Cassandra holds the dress in her hands and feels something inside her break, not loudly, but quietly, the way ice cracks beneath weight you cannot see. She clocks in for her shift. The day stretches like an eternity. 6 hours of serving guests who do not see her. 6 hours of watching their jewelry, their expensive shoes, their casual certainty that the world belongs to them. By the end of her shift, her feet scream with pain and she has earned exactly $17 in tips. Marchetti steals 12 of it. She leaves with $5 in her pocket, an exhaustion that feels like drowning. At home, Emma is awake. She has not eaten. Cassandra makes her a sandwich from bread that has begun to harden and peanut butter that tastes like cardboard. Emma eats it anyway because she is hungry. Because she is 6 years old and does not yet understand that her mother is terrified. "Mommy, my chest hurts," Emma says. "I know, baby," Cassandra says. "It will be better soon." She is lying. She does not know if it will be better. She only knows that she has 70 hours left and no idea how to save her daughter's life. Outside, the August heat presses against the windows like something alive and angry. Inside, a mother holds her sick daughter and rocks her to sleep while counting the hours until she must make an impossible choice. The August heat hangs over Los Angeles like a curse that refuses to lift. At 5:36 in the morning, when most of the city still sleeps, Cassandra Vasquez sits on the edge of a mattress that lies directly on the floor of her studio apartment, and she counts her money. 2 $1 bills. She arranges them on the folding table beside her, smoothing each bill flat as if the gesture might somehow multiply them. $2. Her bank account, when she checks it on her phone, a device so old the screen has splintered into a web of cracks, shows a balance of 47 cents. She does not cry. Her tears have dried up somewhere between the second shift she worked yesterday and the third shift she will work today. Beside the folding table sits a stack of medical bills, each one stamped in red letters, "Past due." The stack reaches nearly 4 inches high. $65,000. The number is so large it has stopped feeling real. It has become abstract, like trying to comprehend the distance to the moon. $65,000. Emma's heart valve will not wait for abstractions. In the corner of the apartment, 6-year-old Emma coughs in her sleep. The sound is wet, rattling, the kind of cough that seems to come from somewhere deeper than lungs. An oxygen tube runs from a small machine beside her mattress and curves gently into her nose. The machine hums, a constant mechanical pulse that has become the heartbeat of this apartment. Cassandra listens to that hum and the cough and the silence between them, and she knows she has 70 hours left. Emma's eyes flutter open. They are the color of coffee and they search for her mother in the darkness before finding her. Mommy. Her voice is small, threaded with exhaustion. My chest hurts again. Cassandra moves to her daughter in 3 quick steps. She sits on the edge of Emma's mattress, being careful of the oxygen tube, and she places her palm against Emma's chest. She can feel the heart beneath, irregular, working too hard, a bird trapped in a cage and throwing itself against the bars. Mama's going to fix this, baby, Cassandra says. Her voice does not shake. She trains it into steadiness the way a person trains a wild animal. I promise you. In 3 days, your heart is going to be strong again. She does not know if this is true. She only knows that it must be true, the way a person knows the sun will rise even when the night feels endless. Emma nods and closes her eyes, trusting her mother the way children do before the world teaches them not to. Cassandra sits there for 42 minutes, her hand on her daughter's chest, feeling that damaged heartbeat beneath her palm. At 6:29, she has to move. She has to shower in water that comes out brown for the first 10 seconds. She has to put on the uniform, black pants with a stain near the knee that will not wash out, a white shirt with the collar fraying at both edges. She has to braid her dark hair, which has started to show grey near the temples though she is only 29 years old. She has to look at her face in the mirror and recognize a stranger. The woman looking back at her has eyes that have seen too much. The woman looking back at her looks older by decades. By 8:15, she is outside the Langford Hotel, and her scooter refuses to start. She turns the key. Nothing. Not even the sound of an engine trying to turn over. Just silence, and the smell of gasoline, and the weight of knowing that this machine is as broken as everything else in her life. She turns the key again. This time, the engine coughs, sputters, and produces a stream of black smoke that hangs in the humid air like a curse made visible. The scooter starts, barely, running on fumes and prayers. The Langford Hotel is a place built for people who have never counted their money on a folding table. Marble floors gleam in the lobby. Crystal chandeliers hang from ceilings that stretch for stories high. The air smells like expensive perfume and money, and Cassandra has learned to move through it like a ghost, quiet and faithful and invisible. Her shift as a delivery driver begins at 9 a.m. By 2 p.m., she has made 17 deliveries. 17. The tips sit in her apron pocket, $6.32. $6.32 for 9 hours of work. A woman in the Hancock Park neighborhood ordered breakfast and did not tip at all. A businessman in Century City took his change back in coins and left them scattered on the table, as if the coins themselves might contaminate him. A mother with 3 children ordered lunch, and when Cassandra delivered it, the woman looked through her the way a person looks through glass. At 5 p.m., the kitchen is chaos. Orders moving like a current, voices raised, heat from the ovens pressing down from above. And then Anthony Marchetti enters, moving through the chaos as if it parts for him, which it does. He is 45 years old, with the body of a man who lifts weights and the face of a man who smiles rarely and never with warmth. His hair is slicked back with so much product it looks lacquered. His fingers are heavy with gold rings, and his watch, a Rolex that costs more than Cassandra has earned in her entire lifetime, catches the light as he reaches for the tip jar. He opens it. He counts the money out slowly, deliberately, making sure she watches. $23.84. He pockets $12.05. The remainder, $11.79, he leaves in the jar. His fingers are still on the bills when he looks at her. Cassandra. The way he says her name, it sounds like an insult. The penthouse party tomorrow night. 9 o'clock. You'll be working it. I have my regular shifts, she says. The words come out carefully. She is learning to speak to him the way a person learns to defuse a bomb, with extreme precision. Not anymore. He closes the tip jar, and the sound is final, like a coffin lid sealing. The party is worth more to you than a month of these pathetic little deliveries. Unless you don't want the money. The word money hangs in the air between them, heavy with something she does not understand but recognizes as dangerous. She does not know what the party entails. She only knows that she needs money, and he knows it too, and he is learning to use that knowledge like a weapon. Okay, she says. I'll be there. Good girl. He moves closer. His breath smells like cigarettes and something darker, something that makes her skin contract like a living thing trying to escape. You'll wear what I tell you to wear. You'll smile. You'll be available for conversation with my guests. You'll be. He pauses, and the pause is worse than words. Accommodating. The word sits between them, and Cassandra understands exactly what it means. I have a daughter, she says. The words come out before she can stop them, and she knows immediately that this was a mistake. She needs surgery. I need the money for her surgery, but nothing. He steps back, and the absence of his proximity is almost worse than his presence. You work the party or you lose this job. Your choice. But know this, if you lose this job, you won't get another one in this city. I'll make sure of it. Understand? She understands. She understands perfectly. At 7 p.m., when her shift ends, Cassandra has earned $53 total. Marchetti gives her the red dress, a thing made of fabric so thin you can see through it, gathered at the chest in a way that leaves almost nothing to imagination. Tomorrow at 9, he says. And Cassandra? You're going to want to look beautiful. My guests have high standards. She takes the dress and walks to her scooter, and the engine refuses to start for the first 3 tries, and on the 4th try it catches and coughs black smoke into the indifferent Los Angeles air. At home, Emma is awake. She is sitting on her mattress, the oxygen tube in her nose, her small hands folded in her lap. I'm hungry, she says. Not complaining. Simply stating a fact. Cassandra makes a sandwich from bread that has started to harden and peanut butter that coats the roof of your mouth like cardboard. Emma eats it. She eats all of it, even though Cassandra has not eaten anything since yesterday morning. At 9:15 p.m., after Emma has fallen asleep, Cassandra retrieves her mother's gold locket from the drawer where she keeps it. It is the only thing she owns that has any value. Her mother wore it for 43 years, and when Cassandra was born, her mother placed it around her neck and said, "This is your anchor. When you feel lost, this will bring you home." Her mother died when Cassandra was 17. The locket is all that remains. She researches pawn shops on her cracked phone. The first one says, "Gold locket, condition fair, maximum value $200. The second says, $190. The third says, $175. Even if she sells it, she will have $275 toward a $65,000 surgery. $275 is a match in a hurricane. She closes her laptop and sits in the darkness, listening to Emma's breathing, listening to the oxygen machine hum its mechanical heartbeat, and she allows herself to weep. She presses her hand over her mouth so the sound will not wake her daughter, and she cries silently into her palm, her shoulders shaking in the dark. Outside, thunder begins to rumble in the distance. The rain is coming. The scooter dies at 10:37 p.m. on Highway 101, somewhere between the warehouse district and home, and Cassandra Vasquez doesn't pray because she stopped praying 3 years ago when prayers cost money and she had none left to spend on heaven. The engine coughs, sputters, gasps like a drowning animal, then surrenders completely. She coasts onto the shoulder as rain begins to fall, not gentle rain, but the kind that arrives with August humidity and electrical charge, thick enough to taste on her tongue, metallic and bitter. Thunder rumbles in the distance like artillery fire across a battlefield she never chose to fight in. She tries the ignition. Once. Twice. 10 times. The starter motor spins but the engine won't catch. Black smoke curls from under the seat. A delivery truck roars past, so close the backdraft nearly knocks her sideways, and the driver sprays gutter water across her entire body. She's soaked now, shivering despite the heat, despite the sweat already streaming down her face from the effort of trying to start a machine that stopped working the same way everything in her life stops working, suddenly and without warning. The scooter is 7 years old. She bought it used for $300 that took her 2 months to save. Every part of it is held together by desperation and prayers she no longer makes. In the darkness, with rain hammering the plastic seat and her clothes sticking to skin, she understands that this machine is dying. Just like everything else she touches eventually dies. She's trying the ignition again when headlights appear in the distance, moving fast, precise. Not one vehicle. 3. Black SUVs in perfect formation, tinted windows, moving with the kind of coordination that suggests intention rather than accident. They're slowing down. The lead vehicle pulls alongside her, and her heart hammers against her ribs because she's heard stories about this stretch of highway, disappeared people, families who reported missing persons and received no answers. The rear door of the middle SUV opens. A man steps out into the rain. Mid-40s, built like a linebacker, with a dark suit that costs more than her monthly rent and a gun visible beneath his left shoulder. His name is Tony, though she doesn't know that yet. He approaches slowly, his movements careful, assessing. Behind him, another man emerges from the vehicle, leaner, with scars running across his knuckles like a map of violence. "You need help." Tony's voice is flat, not quite a question. Cassandra's mouth is dry. She stammers, "My scooter died. I just need to get home to my daughter." Tony and the scarred man exchange a look, the kind of wordless communication that passes between men who have worked together for a long time, who have learned to read intention in the smallest shift of jaw or flick of eyes. Then another voice emerges from inside the SUV, deep and commanding, like thunder given human form, "Put the scooter in the trunk. Give her a ride." She sees him then through the open door. Nico Ferraro in the back seat, watching her with dark eyes that miss nothing, eyes that contain entire continents of hidden knowledge. He's wearing a charcoal suit, shirt open at the throat, and there's something about the way he sits, so still, so controlled, that communicates power the way a blade communicates danger. He's perhaps 35, maybe 40, with black hair silvering slightly at the temples and a single scar running from his left eye to his cheekbone, white and thin like a thread of history. She wants to refuse. Everything in her screams to say no, to push the scooter back to the road herself, to accept the storm rather than whatever darkness rides in that vehicle. But lightning cracks overhead so close it feels like it splits her skull, and she thinks of Emma waiting at home, Emma with the oxygen tube in her small nose, Emma with her tiny hand folded in her lap, and she nods. The men load her scooter. Tony opens the front passenger door. The interior of the SUV smells like leather and expensive cologne and something else, something like power distilled into a scent. She sits down, hyper-aware of every movement around her, the way these men move with coiled violence, the way their hands rest near holstered weapons as naturally as breathing. Nico asks her address from the back seat. She gives it, a street in a neighborhood where buildings lean tired and the streetlights are broken more often than not. The drive is silent except for rain hammering the roof like something trying to break in. Tony drives with both hands on the wheel, eyes forward, professional. The scarred man sits behind her, completely still. And Nico watches the city pass, palm trees bent in the wind, empty streets, the neon glow of a closed diner. He watches the world as if he owns it, and perhaps, Cassandra thinks, he does. When they pull up outside her building, she reaches for the door handle. Before she can open it, Nico leans forward. His eyes find the hospital bracelet on her wrist, a thin plastic band with faded writing. Emma's name is visible. He studies it for 2 full seconds, and his expression doesn't change, but something shifts behind his eyes, something like recognition or understanding passing through him like electricity through copper wire. He says nothing. The door unlocks. She gets out. The rain soaks her again immediately as she watches them drive away, the red taillights disappearing into the storm. She didn't know that she had just met the man who would burn down every wall protecting her old life. She didn't know that in 2 days, a private game in an underground room would change everything. 2 days pass like water through a sieve, hours that disappear into the machinery of survival. She works double shifts at the Langford Hotel. Anthony Marchetti corners her during her break on the 2nd day, his face slick with sweat, his movements jerky and urgent. "I need you to do something tonight," he says. His voice is low, urgent, wrong. Off the books. Cash payment. $500. Cassandra's breath catches. $500. That's more than she makes in 2 weeks. That's nearly enough to pay the down payment on Emma's surgery. That's a miracle. "What do I have to do?" she asks, though she already knows she'll say yes regardless of the answer. Anthony leans against the stainless steel counter, glancing toward the kitchen door to ensure no one is listening. Delivery to a private game. Underground poker room on 7th Street. You take the food, you set up, you leave. You don't look at anyone. You don't talk. You don't see anything. Got it? She nods. She has no choice. Choices are a luxury for people with money. That night at 11 p.m., she stands outside an unmarked door between 2 warehouses, holding a cloth-covered tray of food, her mother's gold locket hanging beneath her shirt like a secret. The August air is suffocating, thick with humidity that makes each breath feel deliberate. 2 armed guards check her, find nothing but food containers and the trembling in her hands. They let her in. The underground space is a contradiction, low ceiling with exposed pipes, 5 green felt poker tables, cigar smoke so thick it burns her eyes and coats the inside of her mouth with the taste of tobacco and ash and money. Stacks of cash and chips tower like small kingdoms. Men in suits that cost more than her apartment sit at each table, their faces carved from stone. Armed guards stand at every door with hands resting on holstered weapons, their eyes moving constantly, watching for threats. She moves to the side table and begins setting up food on white plates. Her hands shake. She tries to be invisible, to move through the space like a ghost, like the kind of person that people look through rather than at. Then she sees him across the room. Nico Ferraro at the center table, dealing cards with practiced ease. Tony is flanking him on his left. The scarred man, Gino, on his right. Recognition flashes between them in an instant, a single nod, acknowledgement without greeting. She turns toward the door. Before her hand reaches the handle, it bursts open. A woman rushes in, older, Filipino, with gray threading through her black hair, and she's holding 2 5-year-old children by the hands. A boy and a girl, both in pajamas, both terrified. The woman's voice is strained, barely controlled. "Mr. Ferraro, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but there were men outside your house. 3 cars. Watching. I didn't know where else to go." Nico is on his feet instantly. The transformation is immediate, the controlled businessman becomes something predatory, something coiled and dangerous. How many? 3 vehicles. Maybe 12 men. The room erupts into motion. Cards scatter. Players stand. Tony and Gino draw weapons simultaneously. Other men move toward exits, positioning themselves. The air changes. The casual atmosphere of the game dissolves entirely, replaced by the electric tension of violence about to arrive. Then the front door explodes inward. For gunmen in black masks, automatic weapons raised. They're scanning the room for targets, for small targets, for children. This is an assassination attempt designed to destroy a man by taking what he loves most. Cassandra doesn't think. She moves. She's closest to the twins, and she lunges forward, grabbing both children and shoving them behind the poker table, covering their small bodies with her own, forming a human shield with her spine and shoulders. The first bullet hits her left shoulder, white-hot pain, her arm goes numb, the sensation of being struck by lightning. She screams. The second bullet hits the same shoulder and she tastes blood, metallic and hot on her tongue. She hears the children crying beneath her, Emma's age, small and terrified, and she tightens her grip on them. The third bullet enters her side, and she feels something rupture inside, something tear that shouldn't tear. Her vision spins. Fourth bullet in her back. Fifth bullet in her back. She's on fire now, but she doesn't move. She curls tighter around the twins, making herself smaller, making herself the only target, making herself a wall between these children and death. Then gunfire returns, Nico's men responding with precision and violence. She hears bodies hitting the floor. She hears the wet sound of a final shot. Then silence except for ringing in her ears and the children crying beneath her. Someone is pulling her up, Nico, his face transformed into something between rage and anguish, his hands shaking as they find her wounds. His voice cracks, all for shooters down. We need to move. Now. The kids, she whispers. Are they? You saved them. You took 5 bullets for my children. He lifts her despite her weight, and she feels blood soaking through the cloth of her dress, warm and final. The poker room spins. Then nothing. She wakes in a bedroom she doesn't recognize. Cream walls. Expensive furniture. Soft sheets. And 4 in her arm. Her torso is bandaged, pain radiating like electricity with every breath. Nico sits in a chair beside the bed, still in his blood-stained suit, watching her. Where am I? Her voice is barely a whisper. My home. You're safe. Emma. I have to get home to Emma. Cassandra. His voice is gentle in a way that voice should never be. Your daughter is in the next room. She's safe. I had my men bring her here. She's with a pediatric cardiologist I flew in from San Francisco this morning. She stares at him, not comprehending. The surgery is scheduled for tomorrow, he continues. The best cardiac surgeon on the West Coast. $65,000 already paid in full. Tears overflow. Why would you do this for me? I'm nobody. Nico leans forward, and his carefully controlled mask cracks like ancient stone. You threw yourself on 5 bullets to protect 2 children you didn't know. In my world, that kind of loyalty doesn't exist anymore. It died with my brother 3 years ago. But you're not from my world. You just know how to protect the people you love. He pauses, jaw tight. So I'm going to protect you. She nods, overwhelmed, and when he reaches out and carefully, tenderly, takes her hand, she understands that her entire life just changed direction like a river rerouted by a dam. But 3 blocks away, in a hotel penthouse, Sophie Langford watches news footage of the underground poker room shooting on a television screen. She's tall, cold, dressed entirely in white despite the summer heat. Anthony Marchetti paces behind her, sweat dripping down his temples. If Cassandra talks to police about what she's seen, Anthony says, his voice shaking, if she testifies about our operation, everything falls apart. Sophie turns slowly. Her voice is like ice, then we make sure she never talks again. Find her. Silence her. Permanently. Anthony nods and reaches for his phone, not knowing that he has just marked himself for destruction. The surgical waiting room smells like antiseptic and desperation. Cassandra sits in a chair that has held thousands of terrified parents, her body wrapped in borrowed clothes to hide the bandages underneath, her mother's gold locket clutched so tightly in her palm that the metal leaves marks in her skin. For hours. For hours and 17 minutes since they wheeled Emma through those double doors. She has not eaten. She has not slept. She has only sat here, praying to a God she stopped believing in somewhere around the time the eviction notice arrived. Nico Ferraro sits beside her. Not across from her. Beside her. His men have formed a perimeter around the waiting area, 2 at the main entrance, 1 at the stairwell, another at the elevator. To any observer, Cassandra and Nico are just another couple waiting for surgery results. No one would guess that the man beside her controls an empire built on territories and loyalty codes written in blood. His expensive Italian leather shoes rest against the linoleum floor. His Patek Philippe watch catches the fluorescent light, $60,000 on his wrist, more money than Cassandra made in 4 years. But he is not checking the time. He is watching her. Watching the way her chest rises and falls. The tremor in her fingers. The silent prayers moving across her lips like a prayer with no sound. "She will be fine," he says. His voice is soft, a tone none of his men have heard in 15 years. Like someone soothing a lost child. "You don't know that," Cassandra whispers. "The surgery is complex. Emma's valve was severely damaged. The surgeon said there was a 3% chance of..." "Cassandra." He says her name like a statement of fact. Like he is naming something precious that he has finally found. "The surgeon is the best in the country. Your daughter has the strength of her mother. She will be fine." Gino walks past them carrying 2 paper cups of coffee. He exchanges a look with Tony across the room. Neither man has seen Nico Ferraro sit beside anyone like this. Tenderness. Protection. A vulnerability reserved for those inside the iron gates of his fortress. In 15 years, this has never happened. The clock on the wall reads 11:43 in the morning. Cassandra counted the minutes because counting was better than thinking. Better than imagining worst-case scenarios that all ended with her standing alone in a cemetery. At exactly 3:52 in the afternoon, the surgeon emerges. He is an older man with kind eyes and a mask hanging around his neck. His smile appears first, and Cassandra's breath catches because she knows what that smile means. It means survival. It means Emma will run and laugh and grow old. It means the 5 bullets in her chest were not the end of her daughter's story. The surgery was a complete success, the surgeon says. Emma's new valve is functioning perfectly. The tissue integration is excellent. She will make a full recovery and have a normal lifespan. Cassandra collapses. Not onto the floor, but into Nico's arms. Her body breaks into sobs so violent that her injured shoulders scream in pain, but she does not care. The pain is proof. Everything is real. Emma is alive. Emma is going to live. Nico holds her carefully, mindful of the wounds beneath her borrowed clothes, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other steady against her spine. He does not speak. Words are insufficient. His men watch in stunned silence. Marco exchanges a glance with Enzo. Gino stares at the floor, understanding that he is witnessing something that will never be repeated. But that night, as Cassandra sits in the chair beside Emma's hospital bed, the small child asleep, finally pain-free for the first time in months, a nurse enters the room with an expression that says she has already delivered bad news once today and does not want to deliver it again. "There was a phone call," the nurse says quietly. "From the Langford Hotel. They said it's urgent. They said if you don't return immediately, you're terminated." The words fall like stones into still water. Cassandra's blood runs cold. She knows the voice behind that message. Anthony Marchetti. The man who has stolen her tips and her dignity for 3 years. The man who called her useless when she asked for a raise. The man who would not hesitate to destroy her if she became a liability. She understands in that moment that the surgery bill was only the first battle. This is the war. At 1:37 in the morning, Cassandra tries to slip out of the hospital alone. She leaves a note for Nico on the chair beside Emma's bed. "I have to fix this myself. I cannot drag you deeper into my problems. Thank you for everything. See." She makes it exactly 70 feet before Tony intercepts her in the lobby. "Boss said you don't go anywhere without protection," he says. His voice is polite. His stance is immovable. "Tony, I appreciate what you're doing, but..." "Not a discussion, Cassandra." He takes her elbow gently but with the weight of a man trained to make people comply. Where we going? The Langford Hotel kitchen is exactly as she left it. Same industrial ovens. Same walk-in freezer with its failing seal that lets cold air leak into the main kitchen. Same smell of grease and broken dreams that has seeped into every tile and surface. Anthony Marchetti is waiting. He is a man of 53, with thinning hair and the soft body of someone who profits from others' labor without performing any himself. His suit is expensive in the way that expensive things are wasted on people without the character to deserve them. But he is not alone. 2 large men in black suits stand beside him like the pillars of a gate. Their hands rest at their sides, ready. And in the doorway stands Sophie Langford. Sophie is striking in the way that cruelty can be beautiful. She is tall and narrow, dressed entirely in white linen despite the August heat, white suit, white shoes, white watch. Her blonde hair is pulled back so tightly that it lifts her face into a mask of perpetual disdain. She is 48 years old and looks as though she has never suffered a single doubt or moment of weakness. Her eyes are the color of winter water. You missed your shift, Anthony says. His voice is poisonous. 3 days. You disappeared. That's abandonment of duties, Cassandra. That's grounds for immediate termination. I was injured, Cassandra says quietly. Where? Sophie steps forward. Her voice is like ice against skin. Show me these injuries. Cassandra does not move. That's what I thought, Sophie continues. You weren't injured. You were somewhere else. Somewhere you shouldn't have been. The police have been asking questions about an incident at an underground gambling establishment. Several people have given descriptions that match yours. Sophie pauses. She is savoring this. Now, we both know that if you speak to law enforcement about anything you might have seen, you become a liability. And liabilities are expensive for people in our position. You're threatening me, Cassandra says. I'm offering you a path forward, Sophie corrects. Her smile does not reach her eyes. You forget everything you witnessed. You confirm that you were not at the poker room that night. You return to your shifts, and we forget that you were ever anything other than a competent but ordinary employee. You keep your job. You keep your daughter safe. Everyone benefits. Cassandra's voice is steady despite the fear that is running ice through her veins. I'm not afraid of you anymore. It is the wrong thing to say. Anthony lunges. His hands find her injured shoulder, the one where the first bullet entered, and he squeezes. The pain is spectacular and total. It shoots through her like lightning. She screams. And then the kitchen door explodes inward. Nico Ferrara walks through first. Behind him come Tony and Gino and 8 other men in black suits. They move in synchronized silence, each one a lethal instrument, each one disciplined through years of training and loyalty. The sound of their shoes against the tile floor is the only noise in the kitchen. Click! 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 Like a clock counting down to someone's end. Anthony releases Cassandra immediately. He stumbles backward, his face draining of color like water disappearing down a drain. Sophie's composure holds for exactly 2 seconds. Then it cracks. Nico's voice is death itself. Not loud. Not aggressive. Simply absolute. You put your hands on her. While she is still recovering from surgery wounds. While she is still healing from taking 5 bullets meant for my children. He pauses. Explain to me why I should not break every bone in your body right now. Anthony cannot speak. His mouth opens and closes like a fish suffocating on dry land. Tony steps forward and places a manila folder on the stainless steel counter. It falls open, papers spilling across the surface. Photographs. Financial records. Testimony sheets. Names. Dates. Dollar amounts. Your tip-stealing operation, Nico says, his voice patient now, almost conversational. Documented by 3 former employees. Your labor violations. Recorded on state databases and with the Department of Labor. Your under-the-table agreements with city officials. He glances at Sophie. All of it. Every transaction. Every bribe. On file with the Federal Bureau of Investigation as of 6:37 this morning. Sophie's face has gone white. Not pale. White. Like all the blood has drained from her in an instant. You cannot threaten people, Nico continues. You cannot intimidate them into silence. You cannot use power as a weapon against the powerless and expect that weapon to remain unused against you. He gestures to Gino, who produces a second folder, thicker than the first. This is your entire financial empire, Ms. Langford. Every shell company. Every dummy corporation. Every property purchased with stolen wages. All of it. All of it is going to be seized, frozen, and liquidated. Sophie tries to move toward the door. Tony steps in front of her, not touching her, simply existing in her path. She does not try to push past him. By dawn, the FBI raids the Langford Hotel. 12 agents in tactical gear storm the penthouse. The battering ram hits the door once, and it splinters inward. Sophie is sleeping, or was, in her bed. They drag her out in silk pajamas and handcuffs. The cameras are waiting. Every news channel in Los Angeles has a cameraman positioned outside the hotel, waiting for exactly this moment. Sophie screams about lawyers and rights and the fact that this is a mistake, but her voice is drowned out by the sound of photographers' shutters and reporters calling out questions. She tries to hide her face, but there is nowhere to hide. The footage will play on every screen from here to New York. Tomorrow it will go national. By the end of the week, every news outlet in the country will be running the story. The charges scroll across the screen behind the arresting officer's statement: conspiracy to commit fraud, labor trafficking, tax evasion, attempted murder. Simultaneously, in a different apartment on the opposite side of the city, Anthony Marchetti is being arrested. He tries to run. Tries to actually run, as though his legs can carry him faster than the 6 agents blocking every exit. He stumbles. Falls to his knees. The position of prayer, but without any prayer in his heart. He is begging now, the words pouring out of him like blood from a wound. I'll cooperate. I'll tell you everything. Sophie orchestrated it all. I was just following orders. Please, please, I have a daughter. They haul him up like he is a sack of garbage. The photograph of him being loaded into the federal vehicle becomes the image that will define his arrest. Broken. Begging. Alone. By noon, both faces are on every channel. Sophie Langford, the hotel magnate who built her wealth on exploiting workers, her empire frozen and seized. Anthony Marchetti, facing 40 years in federal prison. The reporters detail every charge with professional gravity. Fraud going back 15 years. Labor trafficking. Tax evasion totaling nearly $3 million. Conspiracy to commit murder. In hospital room 317, Cassandra watches it on the television screen with Nico beside her. Emma is asleep between them, small and whole and alive. Cassandra's mother's gold locket rests on the bedside table, where it caught the light when Emma held it this morning. You did this for me? Cassandra whispers. Nico does not answer immediately. He is watching Sophie Langford's face on the news as she is being processed. Watching Anthony Marchetti's complete dissolution. Watching the systems of power that try to destroy the woman beside him crumble into dust. Justice is not always bullets and blood, he finally says. His voice is quiet and certain. Sometimes it is watching your enemies lose everything that matters to them, slowly, publicly, permanently. Death would be too quick. Too easy. Too merciful. This is real consequences. Real destruction. Real time to think about what they did while they sit in a cell. Cassandra leans her head on his shoulder, careful of her injuries, and for the first time in years, maybe for the first time in her entire life, she feels safe. After the rain, the sky clears. And sometimes miracles come from the most unexpected places. Cassandra freezes at the edge of the driveway, her hand tight around Emma's small fingers. The early morning air is cold, carrying the salt scrub smell of the city before it wakes. Behind them, the black SUV sits like a predator at rest. Nico Ferraro stands with his arms crossed, the letter crumpled in one hand, his dark eyes fixed on her with an intensity that makes her chest constrict. He walks toward her slowly. Each footstep deliberate. Each movement controlled like a man soothing a frightened animal. You were going to leave without saying goodbye to my face. His voice is deep and solid like an oath, steady and unbendable. Tears stream down Cassandra's cheeks. I can't bring you more danger. Your world, it swallows people whole. I've seen it. Your own brother betrayed you. I can't be another person who hurts you. My world is already dangerous, Nico says, stopping 3 feet away from her. It will always be dangerous. The streets don't get softer because you want them to. But it's less dangerous with you in it because you make me want to be better than the code. You make me want to be more than the man I was. He holds up the letter, the pages trembling slightly in his grip. You wrote here that you feel something bigger than gratitude. Say it out loud, Cassandra. Nico, please don't. Say it. Her voice breaks like glass. I love you. I love you, and that terrifies me because I'm nobody and you're a king in a world I don't understand. You've already lost so much. I can't be your weakness. He closes the distance between them and kisses her. The kiss is gentle because her body is still healing, still tender from the 5 bullets that tore through muscle and bone to protect his children. But it's fierce too, a kiss that says he's done pretending, done waiting, done letting her believe she is anything less than essential to his existence. When they pull apart, his forehead rests against hers. You're not nobody, he whispers. You're the woman who took 5 bullets meant for my children. You're the woman who changed everything. You're the woman I wake up thinking about and fall asleep protecting. And if you try to leave again, I'll follow you to San Diego, to Alaska, to the end of the earth. She laughs through tears. That's insane. Yes, he agrees. I am insane now. You made me this way. Emma tugs his sleeve, small fingers gripping the expensive fabric of his coat. Both adults freeze. The child's voice is clear and certain, a question that carries the weight of a life-changing moment. Does this mean you're my daddy now? Nico crouches to Emma's level. The Mafia boss, the man who built an empire through fear and loyalty codes, looks into the eyes of a 6-year-old girl who was supposed to die 3 weeks ago but lived because her mother was brave. Would you like that? He asks, and his voice is gentle in a way his men have never heard. Emma nods solemnly. Mommy cries a lot. Mommy needs someone. Nico lifts her into his arms, careful to avoid her healing injuries, and extends his other hand to Cassandra. She takes it. They walk back inside together, and the door closes on the Los Angeles dawn. 6 months later, Cassandra stands in Nico's office holding a diploma. Business management degree. Top of her class. The pages are crisp and official, stamped with the seal of California State University. Nico frames it himself, using a mahogany frame that costs more than her annual salary used to be, and hangs it on the wall beside his grandfather's portrait, a man with the same sharp features, the same burning eyes. Emma runs through the penthouse with Nico's twins, all 3 children laughing, their voices creating a symphony of joy that echoes off marble floors and expensive art. The sound of children who feel safe. Who feel loved. Who have never experienced the kind of silence that means hunger or fear. Cassandra manages the legitimate side of Nico's business operations now. The legal investments. The real estate holdings stretching across 3 states. The charitable foundations that bear her name, the Vasquez Foundation for Workers' Rights, something that would have been impossible to imagine when she was counting $2 for bus fare. She's good at it. Brilliant even. Seeing opportunities Nico's financial advisors missed because she understands struggle in a way wealth never teaches you. Tony and Gino, his 2 most loyal lieutenants for 23 years, treat her with genuine respect now. Not because she's with the boss, but because she earned it the night she stood in front of his children and let 5 bullets find her instead. On the balcony overlooking Los Angeles, the sunset paints the sky in shades of orange and red that seem impossible, like someone spilled fire across the clouds. Nico and Cassandra stand at the railing, her mother's gold locket resting against her collarbone, catching the light. He holds her hand the way he's held it every single day for 6 months, like she might disappear if he loosens his grip for even a moment. Do you ever regret it? Cassandra asks, watching the city lights begin to flicker on below them. Taking in a delivery girl and her sick daughter? It complicated everything. Your business, your reputation, your... Every day I wake up and see you and Emma safe and happy, I regret only one thing, Nico interrupts, his voice steady and sure. That it took me almost losing my own children to find you. That it took violence and blood and 5 bullets to wake me up to the fact that power without purpose is just emptiness wearing expensive suits. She kisses him then, and the camera pulls back slowly, showing their silhouette against the burning sky. 2 figures holding each other while the city breathes around them. The image cuts to the 4 children playing together in the penthouse, sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Emma's medical charts are framed on a wall in the private study, the one marked in green ink, full recovery. The words that Cassandra never believed would exist when she was standing in a hospital hallway with $2 and impossible odds. The voiceover carries across the images like a prayer that has been answered. I thought I had nothing left except $2 and hope. I thought no one powerful would ever see someone like me. But sometimes the most dangerous men have the biggest hearts. You just have to be brave enough to show them what real courage looks like. 5 bullets. That's what it cost to save 2 children's lives. But those 5 bullets brought me everything, a future for Emma, justice for the people who hurt me, and a love I never imagined I deserved. After the rain, the sky clears. And sometimes miracles come from the most unexpected places. If this story moved you, hit that like button right now. Share it with someone who needs to believe in second chances. Subscribe because tomorrow's story will leave you speechless. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Cassandra's position. Would you have taken those bullets? Would you have risked everything for children that weren't your own? I'll be reading every single one of your comments. We wish all of you watching good health, a joyful life, and days filled with peace and happiness. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. We will see you again in the next video. Goodbye.